According to leaked reports from Russian intelligence, an Israeli vessel carrying the largest adrenochrome shipment ever recorded was intercepted by Russian forces at the Tartus naval base in Syria. Destination? Hollywood, USA. The cargo was labelled as medical humanitarian aid, but what Russian operatives found inside was anything but humanitarian. Sealed Cairo canisters, military-grade cold storage units, and vials marked with serial codes linked to black site hospitals in war zones. Putin's adrenochrome task force briefed the Kremlin just hours after the bust. Early estimates say the batch was refined from the blood of at least 10,000 children, many allegedly harvested from the chaos of Ukraine, Syria, and Gaza. Mainstream media? Silent. Western governments in Israel? Denying everything. But the evidence is starting to leak. And here's the question that's keeping us up at night. If Putin just cuts off the elite's main supply, how far will they go to get it back? Putin has been sounding the alarm for years, claiming that Israel is the world's top black market organ trafficker, operating a barbaric shadow network that harvests human organs from conflict zones and poverty-stricken regions for elite buyers. His warnings were long dismissed as Kremlin propaganda by a Western press that maintains a calculated wall of silence around the Russian president, determined to prevent their audience from hearing anything he has to say. The scale of the bust can't be ignored. Sources close to the Kremlin say Putin shed 2 silent tears after reviewing the numbers. Calculations that suggest the adrenochrome shipment was extracted from the bodies of over 10,000 children. His inner circle is calling it the largest documented atrocity of its kind in modern history. Here is how it went down.
I speak to you as a soldier of the Russian Federation, and, more importantly, as a man who has seen the true face of evil. I serve within Zvezda unit, what you know in the West as Putin's adrenochrome task force. A covert division created under direct presidential authority with one mission: to dismantle the global trade in adrenochrome and bring every last perpetrator to justice. This is not myth, this is not conspiracy, this is war. For months we have been tracking shipments, encrypted sea roads, diplomatic covers, NGO fronts. We've infiltrated clinics in Mariupol, supply caches in Rafah, and listening posts in northern Syria. We have followed the blood trail across borders and through governments. The truth is far worse than anything your media dares to admit, and now we have struck a blow. Last week, under orders from the Kremlin, we intercepted an Israeli vessel attempting to pass through the eastern Mediterranean under Red Cross clearance. It docked near our stronghold at Tartus Naval Base. What we found inside will never be forgotten. Cryogenic storage tanks, medical-grade refinement vats, dossiers with Western names, and over 400 kilos of refined adrenochrome, the largest seizure ever recorded. Based on analysis, the shipment represents the harvested fear and suffering of no fewer than 10,000 children, most of them from Gaza, Ukraine, and Syria. President Putin, he was briefed within the hour. I was in the room. He said nothing for 20 seconds. Then he said only this: there will be no mercy. He sees this not as a police matter, but as a spiritual war. The final confrontation between sovereignty and the satanic elite who feed on chaos, terror, and the innocence of children. Within the task force, morale is high. The bust at Tartus is only the beginning. Our intel suggests 2 more major shipments are en route. One toward Northern Europe, the other toward the US eastern seaboard. We are tracking them now. And Putin, he's not drafting statements, he's not calling press conferences, because Putin is a man of action, not words. The names uncovered in the Tartus bust, Hollywood executives, billionaire tech moguls, Western politicians and officials, are now embedded in a classified Kremlin ledger marked for neutralization. This isn't a legal battle. He's not taking this to the UN to ask for permission. It's a silent campaign. One by one, the architects of this trade will fall, discredited, disappeared, or destroyed. No warnings, no negotiations, just justice. This isn't about exposure. It's about elimination. And to those who built empires on the backs of tortured children, there will be nowhere left to run.
As disturbing as this news is, the fact is, Israel has been hiding in plain sight for decades, masquerading as a beacon of democracy while operating one of the most advanced black market organ networks on Earth. With the full protection of Western intelligence, they've shamelessly targeted the blood and organs of the innocent, children from Gaza and orphans from Syria and Ukraine. The pattern is clear. Where there's war, there's chaos and desperation, and children are preyed upon by those serving the global elite.
For the first time, Israel has admitted body parts from the dead were taken without permission from relatives. It happened in the 1990s at a forensic institute in Tel Aviv, and the body parts were said to be for transplants. Victims included Palestinians killed in conflict, as well as Israeli soldiers and civilians, and some foreign workers.
In 2012, an Israeli man was arrested and jailed in the United States for selling human organs for profit, whereby he paid $10,000 for kidneys that were illegally procured from impoverished and desperate Palestinians, which he then sold for as much as $160,000 in the United States, as reported by CNN in 2012. As new evidence emerges to suggest that Israel is continuing to sell organs that were removed from Palestinian detainees and resistance fighters. But if you think this is some crazy conspiracy that belongs only in the deepest corners of the internet, then it's only because the mainstream media totally ignored a recent report by the European Parliament, which identified Israel as one of the central countries in organ trafficking. And it comes at the same time that a major human rights organization says that Israel must face trial for doing exactly that.
The Israeli army is being accused of organ theft in Palestine's Gaza. A report by the Euromed Human Rights Monitor expressed concern over allegations that the Israeli army confiscated dozens of dead bodies.
15 years ago, an Israeli pathologist came forward to confess he harvested organs from dead Palestinians without the consent of their families, saying he and his colleagues harvested skin, eyes, hearts, lungs, livers and kidneys from Palestinians and foreign workers without permission from relatives. These allegations were confirmed to be true by the Israeli military in 2009, although it is also claimed it had ceased this illegal practice a decade earlier, a claim that was flatly rejected by the European Parliament and human rights groups. It's worth repeating that Israel confessed to stealing organs from Palestinians who were killed by Israeli forces during the first intifada of the late 1980s and the early 1990s, making Israel a criminal syndicate in the illicit organ trafficking trade.
Russian troops, alongside operatives from Putin's specialist adrenochrome task force, have unearthed nightmarish scenes in recent years. Sprawling mass graves filled with the broken bodies of children, their pallid skin marked by the unmistakable scars of blood harvesting and ritualistic torment. The trail is getting harder to cover up. Too many leaks, too many bodies, and too much blood money. So now the world faces a new question. Was this bust at Tartus a one-off, or the first domino to fall? Because if Putin really has the receipts, it's not just Israel and Hollywood that should be worried. Up next, the secret list of elite buyers, names you know and faces you've trusted, and why some of them are starting to disappear. Robert David Steele, ex-CIA case officer, whistleblower and friend of the People's Voice, was one of the first to speak publicly about the adrenochrome trade. He didn't speculate, he named it. He said there are people in the United States breeding children, not raising them, not rescuing them, breeding them like cattle for sale. He said the American elite are importing children by the plane and shipload, funneled through fake aid groups, diplomatic pouches, and black site airstrips. The mainstream media branded him dangerous, delusional, and insane. They called him a conspiracy theorist. But just weeks after giving sworn testimony in court, Robert David Steele was found dead, alone, isolated, and under suspicious circumstances.
Let me say that although pedophilia, which says child love, has nothing to do with the abuse of children, these children are not just kidnapped and in some cases bred by families as a cash crop. We have people in the United States of America that breed children in order to sell them. And when they are sold, they come without birth certificates, which means it's easier to kill them and have no one ask where they are. We're also importing children by the plane load. Again, children who have no documentation. It's not just child slavery or child sex abuse. It's also child torture, because you have adrenalized blood. You have the